Now that fighting is good, Muslims need a place to fight, so it was off to
perform properly according to the Prophet's Sunnah, the Hajj or Umrah, visiting Mecca for Allah. But if you are prevented, then send such gifts as you can afford.
In other words, if you can't go and fight, send money so that others can fight.
And do not shave your heads until the offering reaches the place of sacrifice. Fear Allah. He is severe in punishment.
Send money even if you can fight.
Quran 2, verse 215. They ask you what you should spend. Say, whatever they spend is good. Allah is aware of it.
According to Allah, peace is bad and fighting is good.
Quran 2, verse 216. Jihad, holy fighting in Allah's cause, is ordained for you, Muslims, though you dislike it. But it is possible that you dislike a thing which is good for you, and like a thing which is bad for you. But Allah knows, and you know not.
Another translation reads,
Warfare is ordained for you, though it is hateful unto you.
This is an open-ended commandment to fight anyone and everyone who has not surrendered to Islam. How, pray tell, do the Islam is a peaceful religion folks explain?
Jihad is ordained for you. Quran 2, verse 217. They question you concerning fighting in the sacred month. Say, fighting therein is a great or grave matter. But to prevent access to Allah, to deny Him, to prevent access to the sacred mosque, to expel its members, and polytheism are worse than slaughter. Nor will they cease fighting you until they make you renegades from your religion. If any of you turn back and die in unbelief, your works will be lost, and you will go to hell. Surely those who believe and leave their homes to fight in Allah's cause have the hope of Allah's mercy.
The Islamic God must be very small if access to him can be prevented by men. But that wasn't the purpose of this passage. Muhammad wanted the Ansar helpers, or hypocrites, to know that it would get very nasty if they didn't join his party. He wanted fighters, not pacifists. What's more, the last line suggests something that will be made abundantly clear in later surahs. Fight in my cause, and paradise will be yours. Muhammad had to be certain the Ansar knew that his party was not fun and games, so he had his God say,
in Quran 2, verse 219, They ask you about wine and gambling. Say, in them is great sin, and some profit for men, but the sin is greater than the profit.
But if you are willing to gamble your soul on Muhammad's scheme, you'll find rivers flowing with wine. After polishing his war manifesto and get-rich-quick scheme, Muhammad turned his attention to his next favorite subject, women. Koranic laws were dictated that placed women in submissive roles to men, just as men had been placed in submission to Muhammad. To enforce his laws, he said, Big Brother is watching you. You'll be punished if you don't obey me. The dark spirit returned to the main theme of the surah. Fight because our enemies have mocked me, and we hate them. The infidels were called a series of childish names. Then Muhammad convoluted Bible stories to make his crusade appear religious. These twisted portrayals continued through verse 257. A delusional trip down Jewish memory lane followed. Muhammad's twisted story of Abraham was as different from the original account as it was vulgar and insulting. Next, Allah attempted rational religious thought. His stories were moral and biblically inspired. But sadly, even the more rational passages focused on taxes, of which Muhammad was beneficiary. This led to a rant on interest and a discussion of business contracts starting in verse 275. The motivation? Muslims borrowed money from the Jews to survive. These sections were short on spirituality and long on pent-up rage.
Quran 2, verse 244. Fight in Allah's cause and know that Allah hears and knows all. Verse 245. Who is he that will loan Allah a beautiful loan, which Allah will double to his credit and multiply many times?
Allah's boy was broke and was begging for money. All Muhammad had to do to justify his new behavior was bastardize Hebrew Scripture.
Quran 2, verse 246. Have you not considered the chiefs of the Jews after Moses? They said to a prophet of theirs, "Raise up for us a king, that we may fight in Allah's cause." He said, "Would you refrain from fighting if fighting were prescribed for you?" They said, "How could we refuse to fight in Allah's cause, seeing that we are turned out of our homes?" But when they were commanded to fight, they turned back, except a small band.
According to Allah, peace is wrong. Some of the most incriminating Quranic errors are those in which Mohammed transparently projects his words and situation into the mouths and times of Jewish leaders. The Islamic scriptures have a complete disregard for time. Saul wasn't a contemporary of Moses. Therefore, in the context of history, this conversation was impossible. As such, it means that either Allah was a nincompoop or Mohammed was an incompetent prophet, or both.
Quran 2, verse 247. Their prophet said, "Allah has appointed Talut, or Saul, as a king over you." They said, "How can he exercise authority over us when we are better fitted than he, and he is not gifted with wealth?" He said, "Allah has chosen him above you in preference to you, and has gifted him with knowledge, physique, and stature. Allah grants his authority to him whom he pleases." Quran 2, verse 256. There is no compulsion in religion.
That would be tolerant if Allah didn't abrogate the verse by proclaiming,
In Quran 4, verse 90, if they turn back from Islam, becoming renegades, seize them and kill them wherever you find them.
The second surah ends with Allah's lapdog telling his people what his master wanted to hear.
Quran 2, verse 285. The messenger believes in what has been sent down to him, as do the believers. Each believes in Allah, his angels, his books, and his messengers. We make no distinction between his messengers, and they say, "We hear and obey."
The only reason such foolishness survived was the Islamic code.
We hear and obey.
Muslims don't think, they obey. They don't believe, they surrender. Muslims, like Germans, were deceived by an anti-Semitic charlatan.
Bukhari. Allah's apostle said, "Eloquent speech is as effective as magic." The prophet said, "I have been given eloquent speech and have been awarded victory by terror. So the treasures of the earth are mine."
The former wannabe prophet turned pedophile pirate was a racist tyrant.
Allah's apostle said, "You should listen to and obey your ruler, even if he is a black African slave whose head looks like a raisin."
He required obedience, not faith.
Bukhari. The prophet said, "A Muslim has to listen to and obey the order of his ruler, whether he likes it or not."
Hitler and Mohammed were cut out of the same cloth. Hitler was stopped, Mein Kampf was exposed, and Nazism was eradicated, as they could not coexist with a civilized world. Haven't Mohammed, the Quran, and Islam earned that same fate?